Lima for short. It's a capital L and a small I, and a capital M, a capital M and a capital E, Lima. And we 9 people are all relatives of people who were on ship. There are 2 things. The thing tonight is twofold. The reason I'm up here is one, to make an appeal to everyone, and also to maybe tell you a little bit about Lima and who we are and how we came into being, and a little bit about the future. So Lima came about because, as you've seen from the film, Brian Finch put together quite a list of, accumulated quite a list of contacts, before the film and during the film as well. So much so that in 2021 there was an appeal made, a fundraising page made by Brian, where people donated to a memorial that is now been erected and dedicated in the National Memorial Arboretum down near Litchfield. Brian suggested that it might be a good idea for that to become an annual service, an annual gathering where people could come along to the memorial area and reflect and to remember what happened on that day and during the days after that. So Lima was set up thereafter because Brian also requested that some family members might take that particular part on. So that's what happened. So Lima was born. So the request is twofold. One, donations or contributions. You'll see that from the tickets tonight, there are details on how you can contribute. Lima only acts on donations and contributions given. In 2024, Lima was able to put on the memorial service at Litchfield, and in 2025, already at this moment in time, quite a lot of arrangements have already taken place. So please, if you can and you feel as though you're able to, please contribute to Lima and the work that we do. Brian Finch has already given his blessing to a number of things that we've done. So has Shuan Chan and Fan Lee, and there are a couple of charity events where the film has been shown as well. Second thing, slightly more important, and I think you'll find it strange for a Scotsman to say that something is more important than money, but we just want you to join us, to be part of the group, to be part of the association. We want to get as many stories as possible. In 2021, I went down to Litchfield for the service, for the dedication of the stone, and with my brother and sister. And while we were on the train, we actually remembered we had not met a single person who had a relative on Lisbon Maru. Nobody at all. 3.5 years later, we have lots of people we've heard the stories, we've met lots of people, we've had dinner with people, we've had drinks with people, we've had coffee with people. Friends for life. So really we're all linked, and all that, whether you like it or not, people that have relatives in that boat are inextricably linked. So all we'd ask you to do is please join us, and please be part of the association. At the moment, people from all over the world are part of it. We're currently putting together a website. Brian had the foresight some years ago to purchase the website lisbonmaru.org.uk. So one of our relatives is currently building that for us. So if you go on, you can go on it now and have a look. lisbonmaru.org.uk is live. There is one page only at this moment in time, but it will start to build up. So you'll see people tonight with badges on, a bit like that. Mine doesn't fit because I lost the clip. However, please don't leave and not speak to one of those people and give your details, because that's all we want. Lisbon Maru, the organisation, joining is free, but it's not costless, because we just want your details and we want your information and we'd like you to join. So now I'm going to pass on to ask Fan Lee to come up to the stage, Brian Finch to come up to the stage, and Anthony Jones to come up to the stage and conduct the question and answer session.
Okay, everyone, do you have any question concerning about this film or anything in addition to this film? I want to share with everyone a little bit. Okay, we have so much footage. Okay, the footage we have used in the film is approximately maybe only about 20 or 30%. There's still a lot of footage. So way back in 2019, on November, I made a decision. We're going to build a digital memorial. It's called a Lisbon Maru Memorial. So how that is going to be is a virtual museum on the internet. So we already registered a domain name. We actually, before the virus situation happened, right? We did send 2 cameras to London, and stayed in London. We recruited approximately about 5-6 Chinese film major students as volunteer. We will pay them for some labor, for them to add the additional interviews. Because when we send a notice after we got 380 family contact, there were 240 families, expressed the willingness to take an interview. Unfortunately, we only have done approximately 110, still 130 families to be interviewed. So what we decided, the materials is over. So what we decided is we're going to design a museum like an Imperial War Museum. It's a virtual museum. We're going to build Lisbon Maru digital model, simulate what happened, the process. We are going to divide it into hub number 1, hub number 2, hub number 3. And for every family, we will have a file. Anyone can, get on the web and watch and listen to your story. So unfortunately, we got this virus lockdown. Plus, I ran out of money. I sold all my house. I don't have any house anymore. I sold 3 houses. Okay, so right now I'm trying to raise money in China. I'm contacting multiple charity funds and the university. There are multiple universities, want to be volunteers, help me for editing all the footage and clean up the sound and also color grading everything. So I want to share with everyone, it's on the way. I don't know when can I get enough money to do it, but we are doing that. We never give up. So this is the first information I want to share with you. Then I want to leave this time, for our audience and to, express your question, ask your question, anything. Well, this is Brian. Brian's our military advisor, our coordinator in UK with all the POW family, and also my co-producer. So
as Joe mentioned, my name's Anthony Jones and I'm chairman of Lima, the new association that's been formed.
All right. So now we need time because it's pretty late. Anyone has any question?
How much further must the journey of the launch of the film go? Because we know it's being premiered. I don't need to shout. We know it's being premiered in Australasia, in the Far East. We know it's being premiered in China, which I was actually there to witness.
Okay.
But in England, where else do you need to take it?
It's not an easy job. First of all, we have tried every Western country festival, nobody take it, including Edinburgh. I tried Cannes Festival, Venice Festival, Berlin, Tokyo Festival, more than 20 festivals. No Western country festival will take this film. They labeled this film as a Chinese propaganda. Very unfortunately, if you read the Hollywood Reporter, the first critic last year in November, it's labeled there. Very unfortunate, but I think since last December, the wind changed direction. Anyone watching the film changing mind. The mindset, getting very clearly. So that's why it has been so well received in China. Even majority is a British family story, but moved so many Chinese families, including high school kids, middle school kids, and older men, because this is a family story. Nothing to do international politics. We're not erase hate against Japan. We're talking about your family story and our fisherman family story. That's all because I was moved, touched, why I'm doing that. But many people don't believe it. So this board now come to your side. Tell the whole world, that's your family story. This is about peace, about love, about family value. Nothing to do with nationality, nation, or the war hate, no. But so to answer your question, UK is the first Western country. So the premiere today is the first one. Out of mainland China, Macau had a premiere last month. That's it. But we will really have distributors lined up for Australia, for New Zealand, for Singapore, for Malaysia. So we are, okay, our distributor here, Human, was trying to convince me she wants to handle Canada. I said, go ahead. Plus, Far East Film Festival in Italy, and the end of April, selected this film, very seriously. So they want to group European distributors in their festival in Uri, near Venice. So I'm going to be there, bring the film over there. So for your information. Hopefully you have any friends, introduced to us. Does that answer your question? Yes. All right. Thank you.
Hello, thank you, Frontline Director. I think this film is very good. So I have a question for Brian Fitch. Yeah. So just now, Director Frontline mentioned this is a Chinese. This was sort of as a Chinese propaganda by some Western media. So I would like to ask you: do you think of this? Yeah. Do you agree with this opinion? Do you think of this as a Chinese propaganda? Thank you.
Sorry, I'm not entirely clear on the precise nature of your question. Do I think it's a piece of propaganda, or do I think people see it as a piece of propaganda?
Do you think, from your perspective, do you think of it as a propaganda?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, so...
It's my co-producer.
I know. I just want to know, yeah, so more local people, English people, how do they think of this film? Yeah.
Well, the problem is simpler than that. The main problem is English people don't think about this film because they haven't heard of it, they don't know the story, they are completely blind and oblivious. This is why I would ask all of you to spread the word,
Right.
tell everybody about this film, because whilst I think the film is wonderful and support it in every possible way, more important than the film is the story itself is totally unknown. As you saw at the beginning, you ask people in the street, Lisbon Maru, and they say, who, what? The story must get out there. It is not propaganda, it is a story, a true story of what happened to these people. As I said at the dedication service, it's not just about how they died, but also about how they lived before and, for those who survived, afterwards. So please spread the story.
Yeah, just to add to that, if I may, that you asked about propaganda. Well, in this room alone, there's lots and lots of relatives of people who were on board that ship. So to say it might be propaganda, and I know it's not from you, but it would be insulting to the memory of all of our relatives. It's not propaganda. We've lived this story through our relatives, and it really means it to us.
Yeah.
And we thank Lee for bringing it hopefully to the wider public.
I also want to share this.
Thank you.
So far, I only read one negative critic on Hollywood Reporter last November. Since then, everything's positive. Because I believe that writer even didn't watch the film. Anyone watch the film, give positive input. I was in California, I was in New York. I've done more than 20 Q&A. Everybody's moved. No matter it's a Westerner or Chinese, or no matter whoever. This is a people's story. This is a human story. Everyone is moved. For instance, I was at the last Q&A in Beverly Hills. There are multiple international documentary directors and critics there. And after our people introduced me, telling everyone I personally take all the financial burden sold on my house. I'm checking with all the audience. You tell me I'm a winner or loser. After coming back, everybody said I'm a winner. Because I just convert the cheap asset into something more meaningful. So okay, even for British news media now, ITV interviewed me, very touched. Guardian interviewed me, very much touched, and Screen International, very positive. So multiple critics now are getting the voice up, but we still need more. Okay. So especially the British press, as in all the friends, relatives, you can help, voice out, ask the journalists to watch the film. After they watch film, they will change their mind.
Yeah.
Microphone.
I wanted to ask a filmmaking question, if I may. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to appear effortless. And when you start to think about this, you realise almost the mystery of putting together all the research that you had to dig through to create this film. I was wondering, of all the various people connected with this, including transcripts of war crimes trials in Hong Kong and others, what were the hardest records to try and track down as part of this story?
Okay, the hardest, the record to find is the Japanese army officer. He was killed. He's a low rank. He's just a lieutenant. We couldn't find any crime record for Japanese army. But by the way, share with everyone, who opened the fire was Japanese army, who were escorting the Lisbon Maru. Japanese Navy never opened fire. According to Dennis Morley, he said Japanese Navy were trained by British. Japanese Army were trained by German. That's what Dennis told me. He was picked up by a Japanese sailor who also gave him a cigarette and a hot tea. So he's very much appreciated. So that's why when I was discussing with Japanese professor, we're talking about same question. There's one Chinese professor who studied Japanese military history, gave the answer. He said Japanese army, Japanese navy were divided during World War II. Is about 150 years ago. There's one family owns navy, one family owns army. They are different. The other thing I want to share with everyone is we did a simulation, oceanographic simulation. We created the wave and the current model on 1942, October 2nd. That day, the tide and the current is washed from north to south, 2 knots speed. That's why none of British prisoners were able to climb on the land, on the island themselves, because as a swimmer, you cannot go against the speed, current speed more than 1 knot. 2 knots, no way. The other thing also explained why Japanese military picked up 604 POW. It's all Japanese Navy. They have the utility boats. They know how to swim, the army know. So the other thing also explained, there are 2 islands. Okay, about noontime, all the POW have been washed to the south, to another bay. That's why another island rescued 135 POW. And around the 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, they're washed back. So they're going back and forth. So that, because this is a continental shelf, so many rocks, so many islands, the current is crazy. One time I was there, the current is about 3 knots. You're very strong. No way you can swim. Well, just for your information. Right. Share with you. Anyone got a question? Go ahead.
I'm just shouting.
Yeah.
I have a question. Actually, a follow-up question for the 3 gentlemen on stage.
Oh, 3 gentlemen?
Yeah, the 3 gentlemen.
Oh, okay.
So Mr. Fang mentioned earlier that this is human storytelling. So, and especially to 2 other gentlemen, would you agree this is a kind of a Chinese perspective? So, would you consider it as a Chinese way of storytelling? So, if this story were told by the British or the Western point of view, would it be any different?
I think that's a good question. I can only answer it from my own perspective. So my father, who was my granddad, who was aboard the Lisbon Maru, he was one of the survivors, but when he got back, he died at the age of 38 due to the torture that the Japanese subsequently put him through in prisoners of war camp. Now, my dad never spoke about this incident because he lost his dad when he was 9 years old. My gran used to tell me the stories all the time, but my dad wouldn't allow us to buy a Japanese car, he wouldn't allow me to have a key ring that was Japanese, he wouldn't have anything Japanese in the house, and I didn't quite know why, until really Frank Lee came round with his film crew. And it wasn't just, Dennis Morley and William Benningfield were the last survivors who are critical to this film, but actually it was the next generation who perhaps opened up for the very first time too, my father being one of those. So my father's obviously watched the film, as my family have, and obviously as a member of Lima we've spoken openly about the film, and I would say that on behalf of all of us that we're very, very, very grateful to Fang Lee for the way that he's told the story, because we think it's a very balanced opinion from both the side of us from the UK and our relatives who were on board the ship, and also from the Chinese fishermen too.
I have a slightly unusual perspective. Having read Tony Bannon's book, which tells the story from basic research and interview with POWs who survived the incident, subsequently I was privileged to translate from Chinese into English a version of the events told, recorded by the Lisbon Maru Association of Hong Kong, based on the interviews they had with the fishermen of Droshan. And this tells essentially the same story, but simply seen through the eyes of the fishermen, and therefore it's a different angle on the same story. Both those accounts, and mine is available on Amazon if anyone wants to buy it. Both those accounts are factual, straightforward descriptions of what happened. Neither of them have an angle other than the perspective through which the observer saw the events.
I also want to share with you, last month, British Embassy in Beijing and held a screening, invited almost all the NATO country military attaché there, from Sweden, Japan, Korea, and Germany, Italy, Spain, France, American, again, multiple. The one information I want to share with you is after the screening, we give a break for 15 minutes. The Ambassador Wilson and also Air Commodore Stamp are sitting, two of them talking with me. When they start talking to me, they start verifying each other, asking each other, did you ever watch the war documentary with such so much human feeling, a touching story? They both look at each other. No. This is the first war documentary focused on human story, not much about the war itself. I mean, that's Air Commodore Stamp and Ambassador Wilson. They both told me this is the first war documentary. They are so much moved. The Ambassador Wilson supposed to have a short stay. He stayed in Q&A for 1 hour. They're all moved. So that's why I want to share with everyone. I was telling Chinese audiences, so many people moved. I told everyone it's not me, I'm just transporter. I'm transporting all your family story to the world. That's what I'm doing. Because your love, your family story, your suffering, your long waiting moved me, touched me. I want to tell everyone. The other thing I want to share with everyone, the biggest motivation I had was 2017, September the 9th, when I was evacuating from the sea surface. I suddenly realized below my deck there are 828 of your countrymen. I'm a father. My son was 22 years old that year. When I'm suddenly, you are shocked. 228 boys, right there 30 meters below me. Forgotten. Who knows about them? And I never heard about the Lisbon Maru incidents. But think about these young boys. That's why this film, to begin with, until 2021, the title was not thinking of the Lisbon Maru. The title is called The 828 Unforgotten. That's all my motivation. The reason I changed the title because one of the sudden we interviewed had so many other survivor stories. It's no longer just 828 boys story. That's why we changed it. The other thing, the reason I want to use the same title as Tony Bennett's book, because he studied first, the research study about this war history, recorded all the history. What we are doing is not repeated history study. It's more about what happened to those soldiers, what happened to those families. That's all our motivation. That's why I told all the audience, now the ball is in your court. You go tell the world. We finished the recording. We showed on screen. Now it's our friend. Tell everyone about your family story and those boys who lost life there. Plus, this is Larry. Remember the last the son. That's what I was trying to express. I want their soul to be home. That's why we get a long way home. Their soul raise up, they rest in peace, they will come back to British territory. That's what we home. But I think our theater already thinking they should be the last minute, right? The last question or no more? Sorry. All right.
Family, ladies and gentlemen. Family.
I guess last I want to share with everyone, honestly, I'm a lucky man. One person, I'm 71 years old. I have done one thing for 2,071 families. I'm so lucky. So I'm really honored, to be a storyteller about your family. Thank you so much. I also want to tell everyone our Chinese ambassadors here. Close friend, Ambassador Chen is the friend of our film. So you want to shake hands with Ambassador. He is so supportive. Last year he sponsored 60 relatives come to China for our premiere in the festival. Thank you very much.